Okay, hi. Game week 12 is done. Good weekend for me again. It's been a good little run of game weeks for the last 5 or 6, which I'm pleased about. Ended up scoring 64 points and another green arrow in the game overall, and I'm up to sort of 188k now, which I'm pretty pleased with. And the average this week was 48, so I'm pleased to be kind of significantly higher than that. I've even made a little bit of ground up in the 553 league as well. Moved up to 4th there. I'll come on to talk about that a little bit later. It really was a weekend of two halves though. I mean, I had a terrible Saturday. I'll talk through that first, and then quite a good day, a Sunday fun day, if you like, on Sunday with the fixtures with a lot of the big players. Obviously featuring in those games, and the guys I had did pretty well. Let's start by talking about those games on Saturday. I mean, although a lot of the smaller teams were playing, there'll be plenty of players active in your teams and in mine. Okay, let's start with Cardiff 2, Brighton 1. It's always nice to see Brighton lose. But I guess, for me, actually, it kind of makes me feel better about not pulling the trigger on a couple of transfers in the last few weeks. You may remember that I was quite keen to sign Matt Ryan and Glenn Murray. Matt Ryan more so, with this run of kind of so-called easy fixtures coming up for Brighton after they had those 3 wins in a row. Well, they lost again and obviously failed to keep a clean sheet. So actually what turns out is that I've held on to Hennessy, who's had these tough fixtures, home to Arsenal, away at Chelsea, home to Spurs, and he's actually got more points than Matt Ryan has in much easier fixtures. So a transfer I would have liked to have made, but actually I would be worse off by a point if I'd done that. And Glenn Murray scored 1 goal I think in those 3 games as well. So again, I'm not feeling too bad about missing out on him. In this game, I think 2 pretty bad teams. I'm obviously pretty down on Brighton being a Palace fan, but Brighton probably should have held on for a point despite having a man sent off. That Cardiff goal was offside, I think, at least twice. The winner in the last minute. So I mean, it's good news for Cardiff that they've managed to pick up a win or 2 in the last couple of weeks. Palace 0, Tottenham 1. There's nothing new here to say about Palace. They were really average, and that's being flattering. They can't score a goal. I really don't know whether Roy Hodgson has a plan at all. I'm going to stay clear of having any Palace players, I think, in an attacking sense for a long while, because they're just not generating any goals. There's just so many blanks in the last few weeks. The only player worth talking about on the Palace side is Wayne Hennessy, who had another good game. I mean, he conceded the 1 goal. There wasn't really much he could do about that. And he's making plenty of saves and doing really well. I mean, I'm really shocked to hear me say that, because he's been a very unpopular goalkeeper, making lots of mistakes for the last couple of seasons for Palace. But this season, after they signed Guaita as competition for the number 1 spot, he's been great. And I think I'm going to stick with him. Palace have got 1 more very tough fixture. On the other side of the international break, they've got Man United away, which they will lose. So I may look at him for next time round. But after that, their fixtures have started to open up again from game week 13 through 17. So I think I might actually hold on to him. I mean, Spurs looked pretty unconvincing at Palace. They had a few chances. Kane didn't really look like he was going to score. He had 1 good shot. Their goal came from their centre-back, Juan Foyth, who had an okay game. I think the headline here for me at least was that I was kind of glad that I didn't have Kieran Trippier, and I know a lot of you guys do. In fact, I think it's 33.6% of you have Kieran Trippier, and obviously he came off injured early in the first half, and I think only picked up 1 point as a result. Southampton 1, West Ham 1. Saints were a bit unlucky in this game. They could and should have scored more goals. I mean, you talk about the eye test. There's been a few games recently where they should have got more goals than they've actually recorded. They've been creating some pretty good chances. You've probably all seen Charlie Austin's rant. If you have to see it, set to the soundtrack of Park Life as well. It's very funny. But he was rightly kind of angry that they didn't get what would have been a winning goal awarded to them. And between Gabbiadini and Ings and Austin, if they're all fit, Southampton I think are going to start to score some goals. They just need to find a bit of form, and it looks like they're starting to. I think Ings got an assist here. Austin should have had a goal, and Gabbiadini scored the 1 that they got. So they're going to be on my watch list a little bit. If you're looking for a little bit of a differential, I think Southampton may be able to start scoring some goals, and that attack could be worth investing in. And next week they go to Fulham. It's definitely worth thinking about, maybe even for a 1 week strategy. That Southampton attack away at Fulham, the way Fulham are playing at the moment and the way Fulham have been defending, could be interesting. Huddersfield 1, West Ham 1. I can't work Felipe Anderson out. He scored a great goal in this game, but I mean, he looks so average a lot of the time in other build-up play, just hitting bad shots and failing with crosses, but he's obviously picking up FPL points, and I know a lot of people have gone in for him, and he could be the kind of the latest Richarlison in terms of being a value midfielder who's going to get a bunch of goals. I'm definitely going to keep him on my watch list and have a look at West Ham's fixtures, because I think they're quite favourable in the next few weeks. And I have Arnautovic. I'm not quite sure I want to double up on West Ham, but it's definitely something I'm going to have a good think about. Huddersfield got another goal. Good for them. I mean, I still don't see enough in that team to get me interested in signing more of their players, though, if I'm being completely honest. Fabianski was out of position for Huddersfield's goal, but other than that, made some good saves. I still think he's worth looking at as a keeper option. And Arnautovic in this one just looked miserable and moped around all game. It's a slightly disappointing thing to see as an Arnie owner, but I think you'll just have to put up with that from him. He'll have one every 3 games. He'll have a blank and look like he's never going to score, and then a week later he'll look fantastic again. He's just going to test your patience, I think. Leicester 0, Burnley 0. An emotional day there. It was interesting that James Maddison and Maguire both missed out. I think they're two of the main players that fantasy players will have in this team, Leicester team, except for Vardy. I was really interested in signing Maddison in time for this weekend. I didn't in the end, obviously because of that injury news. I'm also a little bit gutted that I didn't sign Chilwell a couple of weeks ago. He was a player I was looking at very closely. He's returned really well now for the last couple of weeks. I may end up looking at him again for game week 13. What's the story here? I mean, you might look at the score and think that Burnley's defence are improving, but honestly, they got away with daylight robbery here. They conceded tons of chances to Leicester and were very, very lucky to keep a clean sheet. So I don't think that all of a sudden Dyche has turned it around and that those Burnley defenders are going to start returning points in the same way that they were last season. Newcastle 2, Bournemouth 1. What were Bournemouth wearing? I mean, that's some weird mint green number that looked quite actually confusing against the black and white Newcastle strip. I don't get it. Just don't get it. It was terrible. They probably would have been better off playing in their black and red stripes. It's kind of annoying from a Palace point of view that Newcastle won, especially with a couple of key players, Lascelles and Shelvey out, but somehow Rondon came back out of nowhere. People are saying that he looks fitter than before. Again, he may be worth having a look at. He was a goal threat when he was at West Brom, and I've been surprised he's been so poor so far at Newcastle. Are there question marks over Bournemouth? I don't think so. I'm still very keen on them. Ryan Fraser looked threatening again. I'm very keen on bringing him back into my team. I really do think that Bournemouth offer a value attacking option, that's scoring as many goals as Liverpool are, but at a fraction of the cost. And Ryan Fraser, Brooks, Wilson, King, it's going to get to the point where I think it's even with their tough fixtures, I think having a double up or maybe even a triple up on Bournemouth could be well worth investing in, because they seem to just be scoring goals relatively heavily and relatively consistently in a way that no other team outside the top 3 really are. So I'm definitely still keen on Bournemouth. I don't think this result really makes me feel kind of down on them at all. So we get to the end of Saturday and all 4 players that I had involved end up netting 8 points, which is terrible really. And I was 2 points down versus the average of 10. So below the average, but I guess everyone was kind of having a pretty terrible Saturday too. So we move into Sunday and things start getting a lot better. Let's start by talking about Liverpool. They beat Fulham 2-0. Congrats to everyone that brought in Shaqiri. It's another thing I was thinking about quite closely. After he was rested for that European game at Red Star Belgrade, predictably he started and ended up scoring a goal and was by many accounts the man of the match in that game. Obviously I don't have him. I was pretty pleased that Salah got a goal. That's why you own Andrew Robertson for games like that, where he gets a clean sheet, an assist and 3 bonus points. It's just a great haul from him. I'm really pleased to see him scoring points. I think Fulham were a little bit unlucky. They looked a little threatening, and obviously there's a little bit of controversy around that disallowed goal they scored that led to Liverpool's first goal. Sessegnon came close as well, and him playing up front alongside Mitrovic feels like it should work. We'll see. Arsenal won, Wolves won. Oh look, Arsenal can't keep clean sheets. It's amazing that that team is just so bad at defending right now. Despite the fact that, the goalkeeper, Leno, had a good game. Wolves managed to get a goal again. I'm still not sure how enthusiastic on Wolves I am. They do seem pretty good, but in this game they did well. They created lots of chances. Cavallero scored the goal for them and had another chance. He's a player that I'm going to have a very, very close look at, I think. I think he scored on his debut and has come very close in many games since, and just seems to be having that knack of getting in the right place at the right time. And he's really the only Wolves player I think that has that knack at the moment. Jimenez is okay, but Cavallero just has something about him I think that's interesting. Helder Costa played pretty well too. He seems to be getting close to generating clear-cut chances and maybe even goals for himself as well. So he's another player I'll be thinking about. I don't know how I feel about it. Because of the lack of clean sheets, I don't know how I feel about Bellerin, but he does so well, from an attacking point of view. I wonder if it's just worth, holding on to him and just seeing whether, Arsenal can start to tighten up at the back, because he'll be a great asset, or whether I just, get rid of him and replace him with a kind of a more of a budget defender that's going to return a similar amount of points. Maybe a Wolves defender or Chilwell at Leicester, Bellerin's the one player that every week I'm kind of hovering about transferring out, and then I watch him playing and he does kind of great, and I'm like, maybe I should just keep him. Who knows? And that takes us through to the last game of the weekend, Man City beating Man United. I'm glad this game went as kind of predicted, or hoped, I guess, by me, because I had a triple Man City team going into this weekend, and I wanted. I wanted a result where, those guys did well. Pleased with the goal for Aguero. Very pleased with the 2 assists for Bernardo Silva. He's been a really key player for me this season. And I'm disappointed that Mendy didn't pick up a clean sheet. It's annoying that he's missed out on clean sheets now 2 weeks in a row due to Ederson making really silly decisions over penalties. That makes me question Mendy a little bit. Not that it's his fault, but, his attacking returns have started to dry up a little bit. And if City are going to be less ruthless at the back, he's an expensive player to have, and again he may be one that is worth replacing, especially as we get back into Champions League games and there's the risk of rotation through the Christmas period. I wonder whether a couple of these defenders may end up getting dropped in favour of guys that are getting picked every week in teams that don't have to worry about Europe. So that's on my mind at the moment. My strategy going into Game Week 12 was to save a transfer so that I had 2 available after the international break. Thinking about lots of different things. I'll make another video on what the plan is for Game Week 13. Thinking about Salah, do I take him out? Thinking about a couple of those expensive defenders and maybe taking them out and kind of reflighting my team. But also want to stay flexible in case there's any injuries. There's some fixture swings coming up as well that I just want to be across. So I'm glad that this break's come along when it has, because I just need to spend a decent bit of time looking at what the fixtures look like over the next few weeks and kind of having a decent strategy going into the kind of the Christmas program as well. Okay, let's have a look at the 553 league. I'm up to 4th. I'm very happy about that. Top scorer this week was Richard Lloyd with 67 points. Nice one, Rich. Well done. K. Mendy remains at the top of the league. He managed to hold off Raul, despite Raul picking up a couple of points on him. And the league continues to get interesting. I'm 29 points off the top of the league now, and it felt like I was never going to catch those guys up, but I'm hoping that if I can have another few game weeks just to chip away at that league over the next few weeks and make it interesting, for the end of the season. We'll see. I'm due a bad week very soon, so who knows. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the thumbs up if you liked this, and click to subscribe if you're new. There is a code below the video right now to allow you to join the 553 league. Please use that and join. We're welcoming new players all the time. And yeah, that's it. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.